The police memorial out there. It's a police memorial. It's a big black pentagram. Tell them about that.
I haven't.
Yeah, go look at it. Yeah. See, there's so many of these you can't even keep track of.
You can't keep up. If you go down to the courthouse right now and you look at the date that building was built, it was 4,589, I think, because their calendar is the Anno Lucius calendar.
Yeah, they're not even on our calendar.
Yeah.
And we just walk by and don't even see it.
Yeah. It's the year 6007 to your president. If you realize that these obelisks that you see, like Washington's monument, that's Osiris's phallus. That is a phallus.
And then the
symbol.
domes are female breasts,
Yeah.
the goddess. And then he's always there implanting her. And then the White House is right there in her belly. And then the Oval Office is the fallopian, is the female regenerative organs.
Freeman, isn't it?
The ovaries, the Oval Office.
Isn't it also the District of Columbia? Which
The goddess Columbia.
Of course, yes, that's our goddess.
But I used to live in Washington, and all that you talked about the connections between the CIA and the British SIS, and it's called the District of Columbia. And isn't that the same goddess on top of the Texas state capitol, which is the largest state capitol in the world?
And by the way, they had a display there.
Columbia.
Russian media was here, and it hadn't been there the last time I was at the Capitol, like a few months before. I was going, this is the goddess up there that guards Texas. We walk in, they got a big display. They explained how it was the goddess. There were state troopers explaining how this was their guardian goddess. The Russians were going. Because they didn't believe me at first. They walk in and they're state troopers.
And that's
and the state troopers are always doing Masonic flashes at me.
And that's Columbia. And you
the
think,
club.
you know, our nation's capital is called Washington District of Columbia. Why Columbia? Well, that's why.
Yes. And if you look closely at her face, the goddess on our capital, it is Babylonian. It is. You can put a picture of Enlil, who is the ancient Babylonian god, next to Columbia, and you'll see that it is a Babylonian goddess that we have.
Yeah, if you look, it's an Asiatic, Central Asian face.
What does all that mean? I mean, bring it all together.
Which means they mean business, and they're running things, and they enjoy killing people, and they like blood.
And they're ritual magicians. They're ritual...
Which is also the illusion. They believe they also get power, like the lesser magic, out of throwing it in your face, having it hidden in plain view. That's their whole language.
So it's every corporate logo. It's not just some. When you start to look into it...
Well, the big ones, the Fortune 500.
The big ones, yes.
And then all the a lot of the small ones try to imitate it because they just know that's the power does that. You know, the power shows a pyramid.
Well, Alex, you mentioned the Luciferians and then the Satanists. The Satanists have been doing blood sacrifice for as long as they've been in business.
But the Luciferians really believe in it and aren't doing it for themselves. They believe, this is the great work. They're at the top, walking around in white robes going, they must kill billions. But then the Satanists are their minions and servants, kind of like the orgs, or the orcs, and they just enjoy it, and they're just out partying and enjoying themselves as enforcers.
But
my children, have fun. It's kind of like, there's the big hordes being released.
But in the
Does that make
slaughter,
sense? Is that basically?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Isn't the slaughter still a sacrifice? I mean, a ritual sacrifice, whether it's a war or whatever. You
War
talk
is
about
ritual sacrifice.
And Bush keeps saying the war is a great sacrifice.
Yeah.
These sacrifice, this sacrifice.
Exactly.
Ritual sacrifice.
They are not thinking like we are thinking. They have this ulterior motive, and they live in a world that we don't even believe exists. But yet, their magical works are stored at our college campuses. You know what I'm saying?
The mystery schools.
Scary.
Yeah. And so it's time to wake up.
And then also another thing is they're the ones that ran the witch hunts and things to cover their sacrifices. They'll go after other religious groups and other people claiming it's Christian, and then that's their whole cover. Everybody knows this. It's kind of like the analogy in mainstream media or in popular culture is Dragnet with Tom Hanks. When it's really the preacher's the head of the Druids, and then he's going after the Playboy guy. I mean that's really what it comes down to. And believe me, I grew up in Dallas around these preachers. I mean, these were the big televangelist preachers, and their kids were all in rock and roll bands. And hey, don't you love Satan? And I grew up around Dallas. I was like middle class. I knew a lot of rich people, and I mean, it was just rampant. I was dating a girl who was, whose parents were like billionaires, and they were just flat out Satanist. I mean, let me tell you, man, it's big time. Anyways, so I didn't ever believe in that stuff.
No, but there's just overwhelming evidence. And that's what you're left with, is overwhelming evidence.
But again, their outer rooms don't know all that.
No, not at all.
I mean, at the highest level of Masons, they worship a black dragon climbing out of a pit.
Right.
So, I mean, it's pretty serious.
My father was a worshipful master in the Freemasons, in the German Freemasons. He chased flying saucers in Project Blue Book, built nuclear missiles, and was on a submarine with Jimmy Carter, Killer 1. And he was the man who stood in the top hat with his white gloves and his apron and ran the rituals. And when I asked him about it, he said, oh, it's just a bunch of gobbledygook. Okay, so here's a man running the rituals that has no idea that he's practicing ritual Kabbalism. Not a clue.
You're just told, this is our old stuff, it's our club, we're going to teach you how Solomon built the temple.
Yes.
Say Texas is the Lone Star State. Tell them what that means.
The pentagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's 4 definitions to the pentagram.
Yeah. Most classic is just a human body. Or
Sirius is the Freemasons' pentagram, is the star Sirius. And that gets a little curious when you start to look that direction. Venus is another, because Venus makes a 5-pointed star every 8 years. And then there's the human body.
Baphomet.
And Baphomet. Their god, Baphomet, the goat-headed one.
Friendly fellow.
Which is in the Aflac commercial right now, and it was also on David Letterman last week. And David Letterman, they let the goat go down 53rd Street, and David Letterman was saying, "Come back, Doogie, come back and do Daddy." I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's all over the place. There's no doubt about that.
They want your agreement and everything.
The inverted pentagram is the satanic symbol, correct? The Mendes goat, like the horns and the ears, and then the...
That just symbolizes negative, destructive power, which then they put the false connotation on the male side of the deity. And then usually downward means destructive, and then upwards like the goddess. 'Cause everything else has like triple meanings.
You said the one at the Capitol has a south-pointing star, which would be the inverted, the destructive, I guess, or the satanic.
Yeah, it's for thousands of dead Texas cops going back to the founding of Texas. Carved in black marble.
Yeah.
With a Stonehenge around it with 2 obelisks in the middle. I mean, no one. I mean, like if you were hacking through the Mayan jungle and you came to that, you go, "This looks like this looks like some evil crap." Oh, it's a memorial. Oh, we go.
Yeah, y'all be sure to check it out before you leave town.
Yeah, I can actually find you the pages in here. I think. Let's see. We videotaped, so I can find the pages. I'll go look back here. But you look at Bilderberg. Let's look at Bohemian Grove first.